Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. We are back. It's Brien with Rob and Ashley. We're here to talk about the Texas chaos and whatever the hell else is going on. So, folks, how are we doing this week?
I'm doing well. This is my first weekend, I feel like, not going to the racetrack in a couple months, it seems, or at least trying to go. Sadly, Monadnock got rained out, but we'll talk about that a little later on. How you doing, Truelove?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about why we postponed? Or I'm not going to blow up your spot here.
Talladega essentially put me in the hospital.
The Talladega flu.
Yeah.
We had to postpone yesterday at the last minute because I thought I was having a heart attack, so I had to go to the hospital.
Turns out it was just boiled peanuts.
All that goddamn sodium. Walking 30 miles.
Well, we're glad you're alive.
Old.
Yeah, we're glad we're glad you're getting older and you're still at least able to walk around, and we don't got to push you around in a wheelchair.
Yeah, maybe before you have a stroke, you'll get some proper footwear for race day.
Yeah,
Well,
this could be a good thing to push you into the croc country here.
let's not get crazy.
Well,
I think I'd rather die.
We'll have to custom make you some boots with running shoe soles or something.
Yeah, they make croc boots. The Croots?
Yeah, I've seen them.
I bet you probably saw some at Talladega.
Oh, God. I do still have my cowboy boot sunburn. It's turned into just my permanent skin tone now.
Perfect.
Things are going well for me over here.
Good.
Yep.
Glad to hear. How are you, Brian? I feel like we never ask you how you're doing.
I'm fine. Just a normal week here and getting some racing plans together for the next few weeks, and
Nice.
that's about it. Can't really complain, so I'm doing all right. But yeah, I don't know how to transition from that
Texas.
to Texas, but yeah, Texas. Texas happened this weekend, and I can't say the racing was amazing, but it was definitely entertaining.
It's fun. Yeah.
I would say all three races had a few too many wrecks, but it definitely livened things up a bit and was pretty unexpected. Although I guess for Texas it wasn't necessarily unexpected because that track's so weird and treacherous, as they call it. But definitely three fun races to watch. And
Yeah, I didn't watch a damn second of the truck race. I was actually I was at a show reliving some of my youth. My buddy's band Junius opened up for Sparta, if you can believe that, in Boston. So I went to that, and by the time I looked at my phone, pretty much everything had ended. So, and Sparta needs a second guitar player. But it was a nice nostalgic night. I enjoyed it. But I'm not going to be participating in this truck conversation. So all that just to say that I don't know what the fuck happened.
I was dealing with a tornado like 5 miles from my house, so I half-assed watched the truck race. Yeah, it's been an eventful week over here.
I mean, I watched it, and I can't remember a whole lot about it other than a bunch of people wrecked. Probably the most spectacular being Gio Ruggiero.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
The first of a handful of drivers to get into the grass and fuck his truck up and take a bunch of people out. But
that might be the worst splitter action we've seen in quite a while. He dug in really deep and he got airborne, that's for sure.
I think Carson Kvapil on Saturday did a fairly similar job too, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, the one moment that I just literally actually laughed out loud. I picked both Friesen and Grant Enfinger for top threes, and they were like second and third. And
12 to go.
with 12 to go, and Friesen just fucking overdrives it into 3 and just takes them both out. And I just laughed. I was like, that's like, what else can you do?
Forgot he wasn't at Fonda for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, that led to, I mean, I'm trying to think. There was a restart and then a green-white checkered, and I think the restart before the green-white checkered, Raja Karuth like made some moves to get up to almost the lead, and there was another one of those Jet Burton timing loop deals with the last caution where it looked on TV that Raja was leading, but they were able to show exactly where the loop was, and Corey Heim wasn't.
The Toyota
wasn't
scoring loop cam.
Yeah, that's it's funny how that works. But Corey Heim ended up winning, which he's had strong trucks all year, and it seems like the only reason why he doesn't win more is something will happen to him. And Friday night was just one of those nights that nothing happened to him, and he took the win. So
yeah, big year for Corey there. Of course, he's won a lot of races, and apparently he's bagged Taylor Reimer as a girlfriend. So good for him. Big things for the Toyota family.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't imagine he's long for the trucks. I'm sure he'll win the title this year, and he's already got the 2311 development deal, and I don't know if he'll do a year in Xfinity or not. I would think so, but who knows?
Why
at this
not?
At this point, with the cars being so different, I don't know how much. I mean, obviously there's a benefit as far as racing with other experienced drivers, but I don't know if you're going to learn a whole lot just based on the cars. Might as well move them up to Cup at this point, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Not learning much from Stewie and Matt Crafton these days. So
no, definitely not.
Oh well.
The only notes I have are Hostvar was pitting for battery issues, and he was pulling out of his pit stop as Tony Breidinger was coming down pit road and turning into the garage, and she just cut across his nose. And apparently NASCAR called her crew chief, and her spotter to the hauler after the race. So
damn.
Whoops. There's also a red flag, and I enjoyed watching one of the safety workers drag a big, hard plastic cooler with a little handle and wheels around to hand out water bottles. He looks like he was struggling with that thing.
Dragging a cooler up the banking.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Just my only truck notes, and the booth sucked.
Yeah, who was in the booth? Mikey and who else? Was it Ross?
Logano and Jamie Little.
Oh, whatever. I don't hate Logano in the booth, but...
Yeah, they were just kind of off of it all night. Like, there was a big wreck, and there was, 5 or 10 seconds of silence, and then finally Joey goes, "Oh, they're wrecking." And it's okay. And then there was another caution later, and Mikey goes, "Oh, what happened?" It's like, I don't know, Mikey, you're in the fucking booth. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah. I was hoping he'd have some insight.
Yeah, so.
Cool. Well, that sounds like a truck race.
It was.
Corey
It
Heim
was
wins,
the,
booth sucks.
First time they've had an overtime finish in the truck series in 22 races, though, which is shocking.
That is shocking.
So.
Moving on to Saturday. So the first note that we have here, which was very funny and definitely a Darth moment. Mike Joy fell for a Daily Downfords tweet, which Daily Downfords is another one of those parody accounts that just tweets a bunch of bullshit and misinformation. But they tweeted that Daniel Ricciardo was going to be coming to NASCAR. I forget which team they mentioned.
Trackhouse.
Trackhouse. There you go.
And he's going to be running the number 3.
Yeah.
That was the tell.
And Mike fell for that and talked about it on the air, which everybody was like, we hadn't heard that. And I hadn't heard that either.
Crickets after he said it.
So that was poor Mike and those keyboard warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if something got worked out for Daniel Ricciardo in the future. But yeah, I don't.
I guess. I mean, what the hell else is he doing? He likes NASCAR and he can back in F1. So.
And that's an F1 track in Mexico, so it's plausible until you get to the whole 3 part. Because what's Austin Dillon gonna do? Yeah. Maybe Kyle Busch is gonna run as Austin Dillon down there or something. Or maybe if Kyle can't go, he'd drive the 8. See that? Now these are plausible things I'm saying right now. So maybe Mike's on to something. He's not, but
Yeah. This is another race that had its share of wrecks. I already mentioned the Carson Quapple one. The big one that was talked about, I should say, is yet again Chris Wright, a weapon on the track. He's become the new Jesse Iwuji in my eyes, just because every time he gets involved in something, it's a very, very stupid move. And this stupid move was him being on the track at a pace that was probably unsafe, and
it's ARCA speed.
Yeah, not staying in his line when leader Justin Allgaier was approaching him in turn 4, and he was just like all over the track, and Allgaier got into the back of him, ruined his day.
Yeah, I was listening to this on PRN on the way home from the studio. I didn't actually watch this. I did watch the replay of that later on. The way they described it was that Chris was just kind of weaving, and then Justin just misjudged where he needed to go.
Yeah.
And ended up just, ass packing him, and that was it. So,
yeah.
Nick, I just said Nick Hoffman because his name's in the screen. Justin Allgaier, once again, figuring out a cool new way to lose a race that he's supposed to win.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
And really,
Larson also almost took him out too with like 60 to go.
That's true.
Yeah, just getting a little too aggressive. But yeah, all 3 of the 4 JRM cars had shit days. But the 4th, which I don't know if this news broke before we recorded last week, but Connor Zilic took a week off. Theoretically, or technically a couple weeks off because they're not racing next week. But, had a minor back injury, nothing crazy. Seems like he'll be back at Charlotte just fine. But, just he's already in the playoffs. He's already got a win. So
he got the waiver already from NASCAR.
Yeah,
as well.
got the waivers. He was good. So, Dale Jr., after kind of challenging Kyle Larson to drive more Xfinity races, gave him the seat, and he went and won. And it wasn't necessarily
that fucking paid off.
Yeah, definitely paid off. It wasn't domination. He didn't go out and lap the field or anything like that. But he got the win, and I don't think any of us were incredibly surprised. Speaking of Chris Wright, though, I did want to mention this because I thought this was funny. One of the callers on Door Bumper Clear this week brought a great idea to the table for the All-Star race.
I know what you're talking about.
Rather than have the Marcus Smith random caution, what they should do is Marcus waves the flag, the Jaws theme starts playing, and then Chris Wright comes out on the track. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, the blocker car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely liven up the race a little bit for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too many other notes. I mean, again, it was an entertaining race, kind of a shit show, but again, more on the track than the drivers. But yeah, anything from you, Truelove?
I got no notes. I mean, it was nothing too crazy, and the booth is great, so I can't talk shit about them. So
Yeah, of course.
I got nothing.
Yeah, well,
I will say that I started listening to the race coming home from Salem. I think they're right at the start of stage 2, maybe middle of stage 2, something like that. And it took me 2 hours to get home, which is abnormal. Drove through a crazy rainstorm, accidents, just sitting in bumper to bumper traffic. And that race finished 10 minutes before I got home because it took so fucking long at the end to get cleaned up. So, yeah, that was a tough one on the radio. A little bit. Sounded exciting, though. They did a good job on PRN for once.
Brian's favorite driver, Creed, screwed him out of 25 cents again.
Yeah, what happened to Sheldon Creed again?
He got wrecked, I think. I forget exactly what happened, but
Yeah,
he
I
did.
Him in
think
love,
Corey
wasn't it?
Day tried to make
Corey
it
Day.
3 wide.
Yeah. So yeah, Corey Day. I'm not a fan of him in NASCAR. I don't really even follow him in dirt, but not doing so great. In NASCAR.
Alex Bowman's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now with the way this Corey Day deal has been going so far.
Yeah.
I think you'll figure it out at some point, but certainly not the young Jeff Gordon, Kyle Larson instant success thing that everyone was kind of expecting him to do.
No,
Right.
no, definitely not. Moving on to Sunday, though. Sunday was another good, interesting, kind of a shit show. We do have to note and give them some credit. overall, the Fox broadcast seemed to improve quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I have to assume that's something to do with their the program director, whoever.
Yeah, this is the first race where Artie Kempler? Artie.
Yeah.
We'll call him Artie. That's his name. He was a longtime Fox director, and, credit where credit's due. He definitely put together some of the most classic Fox race broadcasts you can think of. Definitely a big part of the team when they came into the sport and kind of changed the game. But, of course, as we've all witnessed, that quality has slipped over the past few years, and this season it's been pretty unbearable. Yeah. And Texas was the first race without him at the helm, and wouldn't you know, it was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much every problem that we've bitched about and the rest of the internet and the world has bitched about was remedied. Down to, the placement of commercials, not jumping straight into ads immediately. There was a lot of commercials, don't get me wrong. But the cuts to different shots corresponding with things that were actually happening on track. And we started the race and immediately jumped to a battle for 87th place with Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch, I believe.
Busch, yeah.
Anytime a wreck would happen, it was instant. They would actually follow the direction of the booth who were watching the race. It was a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed it, and it actually gave the guys in the booth a little bit more room to kind of be natural and not be pissed off that with the box they're being put in. So good job, Fox.
Not throw their pins across the room in anger.
Exactly.
I do have a couple pre-race notes that I'd like to talk about before we get to the race.
Yes.
So Casey Kane was the pace car driver on Sunday.
Right.
And they interviewed him before the race. And Chris Myers had a nice awkward moment where they're talking to Casey, and he goes, "So, Casey, once upon a time you were voted one of the 50 hottest bachelors." And he said, "But now you're happily married." And I'm going, wow. Yeah, Casey is definitely not married. But I was like,
he's not? I didn't know
He's
that.
partnered up.
He's not. Yeah.
A bonded pair with a child.
Yeah. They did have another pre-race segment with Cindric that was at Lancaster's barbecue, which made me very happy.
Nice.
And Mikey had a nice little grid walk moment, too, that made me go, what the fuck?
I forgot about this.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning this.
Mikey is running down the grid walk doing his thing, and he runs up to Joey Logano, who is standing next to two children. One is white, one is black, and Mikey exclaims, "Hey, Joey, you got your kids with you." All right, Mikey. And then he, just scurried on down the track.
Were any of those kids, did they belong to Joey?
No, neither one of them did.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then they had a cool anthem that was sung by a 100-year-old Iwo Jima survivor, so.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I'm not an Anthem fan, but it was cool to see an old guy belting it out, so that was cool.
Something a little different than what we usually get. So.
Also, a quick shout out to friend of the program and former guest Alex Hammett. He celebrated a birthday at Texas Motor Speedway over the weekend. I was supposed to go down there and party with him. Unfortunately, I couldn't, but which was a huge bummer because he kept sending me videos and pictures of him and the gang hanging out, and really. I hate using the term FOMO because I'm an old man, but I definitely experienced a great deal of FOMO this weekend. And I actually missed, and we'll talk about this when we get to the Septic Tank, I missed the majority of racing on Saturday night because he called me and we shotgunned 2 or 3 beers together in the span of about 15 minutes, and I immediately passed out on my couch and went to sleep. So... Perfect. Anyway, on to the Cup race.
Nice.
Happy birthday, Alex. I love you, bud.
Well, we didn't even mention this. So somebody brought a kangaroo to the track. And
Yeah.
the kangaroo ended up in Jamie McMurray's arms, which was very funny and weird. I guess there's like a kangaroo farm or something that's nearby, so they were
Just
probably on a PR campaign or something.
Staying on top of a school bus, nursing a kangaroo wearing a checkered flag diaper with a bottle of cranberry juice.
Perfect.
So that happened.
I forget who said it on Door Bumper Clear, but they mentioned that Jamie's kind of a germaphobe, so they were like, he probably took 4 showers when he got home. Yeah, this was another one that had a handful of wrecks, especially drivers wrecking by themselves, including Josh Berry, who was leading the race.
What a
and
shame.
That was incredibly frustrating. I know Kyle Busch did it as well. I feel like there are probably some others that also wrecked. I didn't see it, but can anybody explain that one multi-car wreck that Bubba and Bowman were involved in?
It was right after a restart, and I don't honestly know if Bubba got turned or if he just got kind of squirrely because someone checked up or what happened, but he ended up spinning and took a bunch of
Bubba had barely grazed the wall, and that kind of checked him up a little bit, and Joey was right there with his nose already shoved up Bubba's ass, so it just kind of fell apart from there.
Yeah, and shout out to Chad Fincham, who decided to join the wreck a good 3.5 minutes later. That was cool.
Great job.
Glad he got some TV time for whatever their sponsor was. Got to take what you can get.
Yep.
Yeah, the Josh Berry thing was a bummer. I was really excited to see him and the Wood Brothers having another good run in the 21. But yeah, that bump over the tunnel really bit a lot of people in the ass.
Yeah. Especially with this new car, I guess it's way worse than older cars. So
yeah, and if you just get your entry just wrong, or you're just a little too high or in the wrong spot, it can send you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, the bump got the Cup drivers all weekend, but not the grass.
No, the grass is fine because the bottom of those cars are smooth like a dolphin. So it's nothing to dig in.
I think Chris Buescher wrecked from third with a flat tire.
He did, and he stayed out. Smart move to stay out there and let that carcass roll out onto the track, which they did not throw a yellow for felt like 10 minutes. It was shorter than that, but
it was shorter than when Keselowski had his wheel at Darlington. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of questionable calls this weekend. Nothing too egregious from the booth, but definitely. Again, some things that you'd think would be an automatic caution, some things that weren't. And, yeah, just really no consistency yet again. I think everyone kind of probably let it slide by because they weren't as bummed out by the broadcast this week. You know, everyone was already kind of in a good mood, so maybe they didn't notice some of the fuckery. But, yeah, that persisted this weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And also, since when is Brad Keselowski, according to his cartoon, I don't know who drew this, but the little cartoon that Fox has for his face, there's so much hair on that guy. And I don't think he's ever had this much hair at any point in his life.
I've never seen him with.
It's quite the pompadour.
Yeah, even in his younger days, he didn't have that much hair, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Oh, well.
What else happened?
Somebody hit a bird on pit road.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a bunch of birds hit. I saw a few videos of Talladega.
Talladega had a few
Yeah.
guts and blood.
Yeah, this one wasn't as cool. It just looked like a bird was probably chilling on pit road and chewing on like a hot dog wrapper or something. Just got clocked. Sorry, I cut you off, Truelove. What were you going to say?
I don't know what I was going to say. Kyle Busch got jinxed by the booth again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were right in the middle of talking about what a great day he was having in third, and he spun right in the middle of them talking.
Yeah, that's the second time this year that's happened to Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful car, too. I love that 7-Eleven wrap they got on there.
Yeah, they look great.
And I know Rob and I were both pissed off at Carson Hocevar for wrecking our boy Ryan Preece.
Yeah, God damn
I mean, he did admit after the race, you know, it wasn't on purpose, but the way the aero and everything works with those cars, like, you know, he was in a bad spot and
lift.
Just kind of, yeah, I know, but
fucking lift.
Yeah, it was not
Were
smart.
They in the back of the pack anyway at that point?
I mean, they were in top 20. I know that.
Mid pack. Yeah, it wasn't over yet. That's for sure.
No.
And Preece, again, another guy having a great run. Kind of faded a little bit mid-race. I think there was something with the pit strategy that kind of put him a little further back. But they, again, the fastest RFK car after Chris Buescher fell out. And, I mean, he was up front for a lot of the day. And it was a bummer to see that happen. But, yeah, Carson definitely just door slammed him. And Ryan Preece threatening, again, justice at some point. Brien,
Still waiting on that.
yeah, Ryan's not much of a fighter, but we all know he's
Big
not
dude,
afraid
though.
to. He's a large man, yes, and Carson is also a very tall guy, but not quite as large. So that'd be a funny fight to see. But yeah, Priest is more of a I'm going to use my bumper and send you to the next racetrack kind of guy. Like when he sent John Hunter Nemechek at the Clash, which I'm still laughing about. But I'm sure we'll see something like that. I guess Martinsville's not for a while. What's the next short track in quotes? The All-Star race? You don't want to waste it there.
technically the All-Star race.
Yeah, it's not any fun.
We'll get him somewhere.
They'll figure it out.
Yep.
Another note from the Kyle Busch incident. There was a clip of his pit crew trying to fix the car on pit road with hammers. And one pit crew guy hammered the other hammer out of the other guy's hand.
Yep. That was great.
So,
And yeah, I guess it brings us to the end. I'll give it to him. So Dale Earnhardt, he's a big betting guy.
Yeah.
And before the race, he was like, I hate to say it, guys, but it feels like a Joey Logano day. But he decided not to bet. He's like, I just don't like. Even though it's probably going to happen, he didn't want to put that on Joey or whatever. I don't know why, but I decided to bet on him. And
Did you?
That paid off. Yeah, I mean, just 20 cents, but I only bet quarters anyways. But
Yeah.
I got $4 out of that, so that's not too bad.
It's a good investment.
nice.
At the end there was a restart with I forget how many to go. And McDowell was in the lead on 2 tires and everybody else had 4. You could clearly see Joey was coming. I mean, he was going to get him within a handful of laps. Not that he was incredibly fast, but he was clearly fast enough. And going down the backstretch, McDowell had to pull one of his patented block like an asshole moves.
I'm willing to die for this move.
Yeah, and granted, it's against Joey, who's also known for that. But Joey was able to just make it work and get around him, and then the next lap, McDowell lost it and wrecked himself. So,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for McDowell at all in that sense, and not even a little fraction of a hair, because
Ask for it.
you could finish in the top 5 and things would be fine. I get wanting to go for the win, but if there's a car behind you that's clearly gonna fucking pass you, just let him go, man, and don't make things worse for you, because that's exactly what he fucking did. So
Yeah. I mean,
don't
that
feel
is-
bad for him at all.
I guess that is the importance of clean air on these cars, especially at the beginning of a run. I mean, you saw it happen to Larson the second he got back in traffic. That car just turned to shit. And he got into... Who did he get into it with? There was some contact, or he got shuffled out on one of the restarts and fell back to about 6th and tried to work his way back up. It never really could. But, yeah, if you don't have... if you set your car up to be up front, which I wouldn't imagine Michael McDowell would. Maybe they saw it coming on the restart, but McDowell was able to beat Larson on a restart because I guess Larson spun his tires, and that was kind of the end of the day for Kyle. And, yeah, I feel like that's just what guys got to do now, or what they think they have to do, because if you have clean air, you can run away from people, and if you are in the wake, then there's only so much you can do. But I guess Joey was that much faster. I don't know where the fuck he came from, to be honest with you.
I don't either. I felt like Blaney had the fastest car, and then
Oh, for sure.
he kind of sucked on restarts, and then
Well, he picked the
decided to
problem was-
not take the front row on that one
Yeah.
restart. And
And which he admitted, he's like, I fucked up there. Well, he didn't say I fucked up, but he's like, he called himself stupid, and it was his fault, and he should have taken the outside line. And it is what it is. I mean, at least he didn't wreck. At least he finished the fucking race in the top 5, which is he's had the worst luck, and now he's the only Penske driver, including I'm including Barry in this because he's more or less in a Penske car. He's the only Penske driver to not have won. So
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a fan of Joey Logano winning, but I never am. But apparently Chipper Jones was. Of course, Chipper.
Hold on. Before we talk about Chipper, though, there were plenty of fans in the grandstands that weren't happy with
that's
that win
right,
either.
yeah.
Because on TV, Joey goes to get the flag, and you just hear most people say, "Fuck you, Joey." I definitely got a kick out of that.
oh yeah, that was the best part of having to suffer through a Logano win.
Yeah, but Chipper Jones has extended an olive branch. Of course, last week he was shitting all over him, Joey, for getting mad at Cindric for doing whatever he did in the race, and then Cindric went on to win, so that his anger aged really well. But yeah, Chipper has extended an olive branch to him, saying, "Congratulations to Joey Logano, a Hall of Fame driver with a masterful win. This is what NASCAR fans expect from you. Hard-charging wins and gracious top 5s and 10s. Well done." And then Joey says, "I always knew you would become a 22 fan." Truce? Which, yeah.
Well, he talked about it on Junior's podcast this week, and you know, so he didn't bring the Braves hat to victory lane. Somebody else did.
Yeah.
And I think like he was gonna go and tweet something about it after the race, but then he saw Chipper congratulating him. He's like, "Oh, I can't even be a dick now." So
Oh man, but yeah, I enjoyed that race. I think Texas is probably at the bottom of the list for the intermediate tracks. It always is. It's a weird place. But still, this is where this car races best, is at those 1.5-mile egg-shaped tracks, and that's what Texas is. So
yeah, I mean, you know, for as much shit as Texas has gotten over the years, it's definitely putting on entertaining races. You know, again, I wish a few drivers less wrecked, but
yeah,
can't complain about the racing. So it was good. Definitely compared to the last few weeks, a lot more entertaining of a watch for sure.
For sure.
So yeah, moving on Sunday, in the middle of the race, unfortunately bad timing, but the Petty Victory Junction charity ride was rolling through Cleveland, and our friend of the show and past guest, Jay Pennell, is doing PR on that trip right now. So, you know, I figured I'd go down and say hi to him. So I went down there and experienced that whole deal. Now, Rob was giving me shit about not asking someone to take me on a motorcycle ride, which it was 50 and raining. All these guys were bundled up head to toe in all sorts of gear and shit. Listen, I was not asking anybody for a ride.
All you needed were plastic grocery bags on your feet, like Ken Schrader's passenger. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, all I hear is excuses. But
Yeah. Anyways, so they actually were a little bit late in arriving there because they had a stop in a town called Avon, which is like a suburb, like 15, 20 minutes east of downtown Cleveland, where we were meeting them. And I guess there were a lot of people at that stop, and it took a little bit longer to get out of there, which... surprise, surprise, old NASCAR fans don't want to come to downtown.
Scary.
Yeah, which, I mean, this was in like a quiet corner of downtown. I mean, there was a Cavs playoff game happening at the same time, but like I just drove right past. It was not a big deal. But there were probably like 30, 40 people waiting there. I ended up chatting with an old guy who was standing next to me for a minute. Because he saw me watching the race on my phone, and we just kind of talked about some stuff. And he was nice enough. I guess he used to go on the ride all the time and was kind of just sort of following in his car this year as opposed to on a motorcycle. But
could have got a ride with him.
No. There was definitely a stereotypical greasy-looking collectibles guy that he hired. He
Just
absolutely
one?
Just one. He absolutely hired some people to stand there with trays of cars, and he had these like pre-made trays of like foam blocks with cars stacked in them, and they're all just shitty die casts. And you know, of course, you know, there's only one that was doing that, but you know, again, they're all
sent that picture, and I was like, why do all these people have matching plywood wrapped in like Christmas tree skirts?
Yeah, and that
with their die
exactly
cast laid out on them, so that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think at races you see that more often, obviously. But yeah, he was clearly there to get shit to sell. But there were a bunch of just regular fans in petty gear and stuff. And when everybody finally got there, they put Richard in a high chair underneath the front door. His feet were like 6 inches off the ground.
It looks like they sat him in the wrong spot.
Yeah, just dangling. And then from there, you know, obviously most people were there to see Richard. I had nothing to get signed or anything. I was just there because I wanted to get a picture with Kyle because, you know, he's one of the drivers I've always kind of liked and I've never met. And, you know, I pulled that off just fine. It's funny, though, because, you know, Richard was the first one to come out. Schrader never did. Like, Schrader just went up to his room, I guess. That's what Jay said. But it's funny, like, everybody's waiting in line to meet Richard, and Kenny comes out, and he's just like, anybody need anything from Kenny Wallace? Like, nobody even noticed he was there, which was funny.
Herman!
Yeah.
You had sent a picture of him on his bike too, and Kim's on the back of it. And Kenny is driving his motorcycle and texting at the same time.
I mean, to be fair, they were just kind of stopped. Like, they let like a dozen or so bikes into the garage at each time, and they had to wait for him to park and stuff. So he wasn't actually moving, but yeah, he was definitely on his phone, just texting or whatever in the rain. But yeah, it was nice. I got my picture and went back home and finished up the race, and nice to say hi to Jay, and it seems like he's having a good time on the trip. But it was nice little racing field trip, because I haven't done any racing shit since Darlington. But I've got a high limit race next week, hopefully. So
Nice.
I'll have that to talk about.
I was disappointed that you refused to sniff Kyle Petty's ponytail.
I didn't even have a
Where
chance.
were you on that one?
Yeah,
It was a very, very brief meeting. Kind of just took the photo and
Too
walked
cold and
off.
rainy to sniff some hair, huh?
Yeah. His wife did compliment my shirt. Kyle didn't even notice. I had my cool, old, rare Kyle Petty Rockingham wind shirt on, and he didn't notice, but his wife did, so
Nice.
that was nice.
I have a couple more race notes before we move on to general
Sure.
stuff.
Oh, sure.
We forgot to mention that Christopher Bell and John Hunter Nemechek almost got in a scuffle in their pleated khakis after the race.
That's right. Heated khakis.
A little heated, pleated conversation. We got an Eric Jones top 5. And then there was that amazing picture of that guy in the grandstands with that empty 30 rack of Busch beer in between his legs.
Just,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
no
a
shirt,
lot.
little shorts, completely
lot of
sunburned. But he had socks on with his Crocs, which I don't get that.
Not with the shorts, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of beers for an Xfinity race. Like, that's
So
That was
many.
Saturday.
yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
It's the spread eagle around the empty beer cans was just, it was a lot.
Yeah, I've sat like that at a racetrack before, but definitely with not that many beers between my my little chicken
That
legs.
few clothes on.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll share that picture in the post for sure. But
Yeah, it's a classic.
that's it.
Nice. Well, speaking of stuff you want to see instead of stuff you don't want to see, like that last photo, there's a rumor flying around that old BJ McLeod might be getting a start in a Spire truck at Charlotte. I haven't seen this officially reported yet, but that is the word on the street, and I think all of us would love to see him in some equipment that is competitive. I don't think he's ever really gotten a shot in anything. I was trying to remember. I think there was a period, or there was a point like 3 or 4 years ago where Dale was going to put him in a car for practice or something like that. Is that correct? Dale or somebody couldn't make it.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think it ended up happening, but that
Might
was
have been Harvick. I can't remember. Harvick sounds more familiar.
It might have been, but it was
Yeah.
it was the only time, and I know that a lot of people were really excited to see him potentially get a shot, but it ended up not coming to fruition. But if this does happen, that's a race-winning truck. It's fast, and I think BJ has a lot of respect in the garage area, and I think he's a hell of a lot more talented than people give him credit for. I know we're all big fans on this show, and I think we'd like to see him in a nice, fast piece, which hopefully that happens at Charlotte. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah, and Homestead got announced for 2026 as the finale officially. NASCAR announced a rotation like the Super Bowl going forward. It sounds like Phoenix is going to be back on the schedule in 27, but I don't know if that's the truth. But we're definitely going to Homestead next year, which is good. So at least we get 1 year of reprieve from Phoenix.
Hey, give me 1 second to pause real quick, because my computer, something's going on with my battery. I have to fix this real quick. So give me just 2 seconds here to try to figure this out. Hold on.
All right. I might not cut this out of the show. We can talk about something.
Is this where I tell my Talladega story?
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, Truelove left out a banger of a story last week.
There was a lot to remember last week, and it was a very long episode, so thank y'all for sitting through it. But there was one story that forgot to share It happened Saturday night during the concert when I was blackout drunk. And as we know, I was hanging out with, like, you know, some of the 48 guys and Steve and Mike and my brother and them. And the next morning, Steve had to remind me of a few things that happened that night. And Steve was like, hey, Truelove, do you remember this? Do you remember meeting Blake Harris, who is Alex Bowman's Cup crew chief?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, not really. I don't remember any of those conversations. And he goes, well, I just introduced you to Blake Harris, and you looked at me, and you looked at him, and the first words out of your mouth were, hey, you guys should make out. Then I just went about my life.
Asking two men to make out at a Justin Moore concert. That's some shit right there.
Yeah, straight married men. So, I don't know what was going on in my blackout brain at that point, but I think I was just trying to incite some more debauchery and
Yeah.
yeah.
Too many buttholes. Gotta level the ratio out a little bit.
Yeah. So I was like, well, that's embarrassing.
Well, you know. One more thing. I love that story so much. Thanks for sharing that. I was a little shocked that you didn't tell us that last week, but again,
I just forgot.
There was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I remembered it like 5 minutes after we quit recording. I was like, oh, man.
One thing I did see that I didn't put in the show notes, I forget what the name of the state-run NASCAR media tech podcast is, where they talk about rules and shit. But apparently this week they were talking about how NASCAR is very seriously looking into upping the horsepower to 750 at some places. Which, yeah, I guess we'll see. It's coming from the horse's mouth, so who knows?
Is that the podcast that is it Mike Ford's on or whatever?
Yeah, that's the one. It's the one that told Denny Hamlin he was full of shit for saying it cost $2 million to
right. Yeah.
to skew a race car. That's illegal.
Take whatever
to skew.
they say with a grain of salt.
Exactly, but you know, if it's coming from NASCAR corporate media, which is what that is, NASCAR pays for that show to be on the air, then there's got to be a little bit of gas behind it. So,
Yeah.
as with all media, you got to consider your source, and the source is NASCAR themselves. So. That'd be the highest horsepower we've seen since the 550 days, or since before that. So hopefully that would right the ship. I don't know if that's enough.
I don't know. I don't have the
break through the
answers.
arrow issues, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
It wouldn't hurt to try.
It never hurts to try, and that's the only thing they haven't tried yet, aside from putting like fucking sail panels and shit on them. So. Let's see. What else can we talk about while Brian's gone?
We could talk about F1 while he's gone. They announced the Miami GP will be extended to 2041, which will all be long dead by then.
Yeah, that's going to be underwater by the time they get there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did want to talk about this too. Truelove, you were at Walmart today, and you sent
yes, I was.
You sent us a picture of a McLaren F1, like ride-along car, like a little pedal car. And my reaction to that was, you know, I think what a lot of people would see when they go into Walmart or Target or any one of these places is that there's so much fucking F1 merch out there.
Yeah.
So many die casts, so many toys. And like if you go to Walmart, they have like, you know, 1/16 scale die cast. They have 1/24s. I think Matchbox is actually releasing the entire grid coming up pretty soon.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
There's
they
Lego
look
sets.
way nicer than the NASCAR diecast.
Holy, they're so nice. And apparently those are cheap ones, too. I've got a Sergio Perez one sitting over here in the bar, and that thing is so much nicer and so much cheaper than any of the Lionel shit. So, yeah, this is our plea to NASCAR as toy-buying adults. Just step it up a little bit, please.
Please make an adult-size pedal car for me.
Seriously. For me to ride around.
Little Barbie Jeep.
Seriously.
Action.
Yeah, little pedal car is cool, though.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I just took a wrong turn down that aisle after looking at the 2 NASCAR diecasts that were left on the pegs that were like Austin Dillon and Raja Caruth that's been there for 6 months.
Yeah. And like that weird Petty collection.
Yes.
Like the
and
Mark
weird
Petty
Hendrick
diecast.
collection. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Brian's still gone.
He's still dead.
He's still dead.
One other thing I wanted to kind of mention was I recently started watching that new show about the Red Bull soapbox races.
Oh yeah.
Dale Jr. and Mike Bagley are commentating on, and holy shit. I guess I never watched any of those soapbox races before.
Crazy.
Pretty gnarly stuff.
When those guys wreck, it's really bad.
It's so bad, and most of them don't have gloves on.
Oh.
They don't have like mouth guards. There's so much fucking road rash. Their little bicycle helmets that they're wearing are popping off.
It's like an ARCA race out there.
Jesus Christ. But Dale and Mike are doing a great job
Nice.
commentating. So
Speaking of Dale and everybody, the CW announced what their full broadcast team is going to look like, and there's some heavy hitters on there. Nobody's surprising, but I'm very excited to see what they bring to Prime. That's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
yeah, I think
We're talking about Fox figuring the broadcast
600.
out, and they've only got like El Race left. So at least they got it right before they got too far into it. But yeah. I think that's all the notes we have here. I don't think there's any like crazy
That's
rumors
it.
or anything
I
to
got
talk
nothing
about.
else.
Rodney Childers was on
Brian.
DBC, kind of talked about his departure from Spire and said a whole lot of nothing. It just seemed like they weren't really getting along too well.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one yet. I just saw the clips online. I saw the clip where they asked Rodney if he wanted to pursue broadcasting as a career, and that made me laugh so hard because
I like listening to Rodney talk, but that man is not charismatic enough to be leading a broadcast. There's no fucking way. I'm starting to think maybe Brien discovered a Richard Petty signature on his body. He didn't know that it happened.
He might be.
Richard will sign anything.
you were trying to get Brien to sign autographs.
That's true,
On Sunday too, and he wouldn't.
Well,
Philip Petty.
Philip Petty, yeah, the PP number 47. Yeah.
PP number 47. Just the middle image of Brien walking up to people writing PP 47.
In a Kyle Petty t-shirt. I know, it's so good. There he is.
Yeah, I'm back. I had to switch to my earbuds because I don't know what the hell's going on with my laptop. But yeah, I'm back.
We carried on. We talked some shit. And I think we're... You good over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think it's just about time for the DARF of the week. We had a few submissions this week. Actually, we had a fan who submitted himself, my buddy Alex. Apparently, he had a few beers a few years ago and ended up getting a hold of Bubba Wallace's number from one of the 43 crew guys after he said he was leaving the team. And he decided to call Bubba. It was a very wholesome call, basically just saying, I'd like you to wreck the 22. And, I think you're an inspiration. And he meant it. He's actually he's not a Bubba fan, but he definitely likes the guy. And I thought Bubba, the funniest part about the call was Bubba handling it as graciously as he did by saying, I appreciate the support. Do not call this number ever again. He's like, okay. So he gets an honorable mention. I've never had someone submit themselves to be a DARF of the week before. And I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, if you get just don't call them.
Just don't call drivers.
Don't call
they don't know you.
It's funny, but maybe don't do that. And then, of course, I'll let Brien explain this one since he also got nominated for DARF of the Week this week. Why don't you tell him about that, Brien?
All right, so yeah, I got by the there was a very trolly Talladega post where
audio?
I think it was Jerry Punch's daughter goes and like interviews drivers, but she says she calls the car a NASCAR, which is just a cardinal offense in my eyes as far as you don't do that, and apparently she was doing it on purpose.
Brien, I don't know what's going on with your audio, but you sound like you're going through puberty right now.
Oh, that's good.
It like speeds up
It goes from
and
like
then drops
alien
into
to puberty to alien to puberty. Which made the story even funnier.
Let's try this again.
This isn't. any better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Thank you for
Great.
that. Anyway, so yeah, Jesse Punch is out there doing some social media asking people if it's ever okay to call it a NASCAR instead of a NASCAR stock car. And Brien, take it from here, buddy.
I took the bait and I got called out on it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got angry in the comments, and Talladega called him out on it. So, even though it said right there in the title, "This is what we're doing," it's.
Yeah, Brien says can't be a pit reporter calling a stock car a NASCAR. Then Talladega Speedway responds, "Yes, that is in fact the joke we are making." So, yeah, very good.
Well, fuck me. I make a lot of comments on stuff, and finally, the one time I get a comment back, it's me being a dumbass. So.
Yeah, they can't all be hits, but even that wasn't good enough to usurp or knock off the throne this incredibly 11th hour Darf of the Week. I didn't feel too good about the last two we talked about. They're funny, but it's okay. They were kind of filler ones, to be honest. One's just a shout out to a friend of mine, and the other was just making fun of Brien. We have to do that once in a while on the show. But this guy, literally 5 minutes before we start recording, I noticed this on Facebook, and I want one of y'all to try and read this out loud here. This is from the Worldwide Sprint Car Fans Facebook group. By a guy named Mike Eischen. And Truelove, you want to try this first?
Sure. They are streaming Bout Law Raised from Lincoln right now on YouTube.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
That's pretty good. Brien dropped off again here, so we'll get him to try it again, see what he thinks it is.
Streaming.
Yeah, we'll let you stew on that for a little bit. Brien, you want to try giving this Darf of the Week a shot here? Want to read it?
I literally can't. So the reason why my audio is being so weird is if I close, I have to have like the podcast link up, or else it gets all weird. So
yeah.
Well, I'm having a technological night tonight.
Well, let me read to you what it actually is supposed to say. I translated it because I guess I speak Darf. But yes, he meant to say they are streaming outlaw racing from Lincoln right now on YouTube, which they are. The World of Outlaws are streaming the Gettysburg Classic on YouTube right now. And Truelove read it just as it was typed. The comments were just like, where the fuck did you learn how to spell? So this guy's my Darf for the week. I think I sent it somebody to a week of Mavis Beacon typing tutor a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go ahead and extend that one to this guy. Maybe lay off the beers on Beer Hill there. Yeah. And yeah, Jesus Christ. We'll post it so you guys can see it because this is a particularly good one.
Yeah.
But that's as good as any of a transition into the short track Septic Tank this week. Now, like I said, there was a lot of short track racing this weekend, but I missed a good deal of it by falling asleep on my couch on Saturday night. So a lot of this is just me reading results. I did watch a good deal of racing, but like I said, I was kind of in and out of my couch after trying to shotgun several beers with Alex, and then I threw an entire Cape Cod buffalo chicken pizza into my gut, and that's a magic combination for the nap of your life. But anyway, High Limit was down in Texas this week, of course, accompanying the NASCAR Cup Series and associated series at Texas Motor Speedway. There's supposed to be a Texarkana on Thursday, but that got rained out. So that means Christopher Bell was unable to get behind the wheel of the Kreitz 69K. Also, apologies to Don Kreitz. I always say Kreitz on this show because I'm typically reading it off notes, and that's not how you say it. I've said Don Kreitz's name 1,000 times in my life, but anytime I read it, I get it wrong. So I'm intentionally not looking at my notes right now, so I say it right. Don Kreitz, 69K. So unfortunately, we didn't see Christopher Bell behind the wheel again. He raced on Thursday night, didn't have that great of a night, but on Saturday he was out. But he was supposed to race the entire time, and bummer he wasn't there. But Brent Marks won on Thursday. Pretty lightly attended event on Thursday night. I guess there was a lot of storms in the area. And that kind of caused a lot of folks who were coming in, campers, that sort of thing, to not make it there in time. And of course, everyone's there for a NASCAR weekend, and whether you like it or not, the dirt track events or anything happening on the side are always kind of a sideshow, and not everybody makes it over there. But pretty lightly attended enough to do this terrible thing that I hope they never do again. I have no problem showing respect to the veterans in the audience. I know a lot of veterans are already, some of them like shaking hands and standing up and all that, but a lot of the ones I know, it's kind of awkward, having to stand up and wave and everyone claps for you and all that. Not all of them like it. But High Limit took it to a whole other level on Thursday night, and they sent the entirety of the field up there to just walk around like it's church and shake their hands in the grandstands.
What?
It took fucking forever to get done.
Oh my god!
The hearts are in the right place, but yeah,
right.
let's not do that ever again, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, Saturday, a little bit bigger of a crowd. The track was in a little bit better condition. Of course, it had rained a bunch in Texas, so Thursday night was a little bit of a slog. Not a whole lot of passing. Some good nights from some people. Shout out to Landon Crawley for getting the top 10. Big fan of that kid. Benton, Arkansas's finest, son of Tim Crawley. But yeah, he was one of the few guys who was able to pass all right, but yeah, Brent Marks kind of ran away with the show. Saturday night was a little bit better. Rico Abreu picked up a big win. I think the big thing for all the NASCAR fans out there is that Kyle Busch made his return to the High Limit booth. Of course, he knocked it out of the park in Vegas, and he did a good job on Saturday night too, except for the fact he kept calling Cy Lynch Sue Lynch all night, which I thought was pretty funny. Definitely a weird name, but not Susan. I can... Oh, man. Also in the Sprint Car World of Outlaws were Eldora. They were also kind of wrecked by rain. They got Friday night in. David Gravel resumed his winning ways and held off a big charge from Donnie Schatz, who seems to be finding some more speed in the Tony Stewart car. Brady Bacon won the USAC feature over Justin Grant and Kyle Cummins, and that was all we got out of Eldora because Saturday rained out. Big bummer there. Over in the late model world, World of Outlaws were at Mississippi Thunder. Of course, they got hit by rain too on Thursday night. And I didn't watch a second of any of this. But of course, two of my favorites, Tyler Erb and Nick Hoffman, both picked up wins when I wasn't watching. So yeah, yep. Perfect. Lucas Oil, they made it to Circle City, and Brandon Overton picked up a win in the Longhorn Factory car. But then Florence rained out. So lots of rain everywhere. Hunt the Front rained out their entire program. Both Cherokee and Livonia did not run, but Cherokee decided to move the Duvall Memorial to Sunday, and they cut the purse by $10,000 for some reason. I don't really know why.
Damn.
I guess that happened at the Outlaw race too. They cut the purse for Saturday night as well. So I don't know what's going on with all the purse cutting, but that's nobody wants to see that.
That's lame.
Yeah, but shout out to Joseph Joyner for winning at Cherokee. Speaking of late models, if you're a racing fan of any kind, you have a Flow account, this is a huge week. It's Illinois Sprint Week happening right now, and late model action on Flow Racing every single night. Of course, the return of the Flow Racing Night in America series. They were at LaSalle Speedway last night. Now, LaSalle was closed for a number of years. I think it was 4 or 5 years that the place had been shuttered, and they just reopened last night, first time, and wow, it put on a fucking show. Some of the best racing I've seen all year. Every single heat was an absolute fucking banger. The place was packed, and just some wild racing, particularly from Mike Spatola in the second B main. That guy was running so high that he was sticking his right rear up in like the hole in the wall for like the entrance to the pits. It was unbelievable. But yeah, just a great show. Bobby Pierce ended up winning the feature. Things kind of settled towards the end of the feature, but there was amazing battling happening all the way through the field. I think the battle for like 3rd to 6th or 7th was 3 and 4 wide at times for a good chunk of the race until things rubbered off a little bit, and Bobby Pierce was able to do what he does and picked up a win there. Ricky Thornton Jr. coming in second.
Where's this place at again?
It's in Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, there's going to be all sorts of dirt late model racing on Flow. They're at Spoon River in Lincoln as well this week. Actually, Jonathan Davenport just won as we're recording this. He won the feature at Spoon River. So good for JD. He hasn't won a whole lot this year, so it's kind of nice to see the 49 back in victory lane about 10 minutes ago. Over on the pavement side of things, Carson Ware picked up a pro late model win on the Cars Tour at Ace. Granted, it was rain shortened. Like I said, every short track series out there struggled with rain. But yeah, Carson Ware and Rick Ware Racing picked up a win there. Also, their AMA team went out in Chico. So 2 wins for Rick Ware Racing. At the same time, pretty much. They did get the entire late model stock feature in. Landon Lewis picked up the win for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, and Rodney Childers, currently unemployed crew chief, picked up some side work with them. Surely that had something to do with it. But yeah, I think this is the second week in a row that Rick Ware has won a pro late model race. Of course, Luke Baldwin won last week, and now Carson Ware. And then a shout out to Landon Lewis for getting it done in the full Ace Speedway feature for the Cars Tour. Wheel Modified Tour rained out. Fucking course. That's about all the racing action I paid attention to this weekend, or at least caught bits and pieces of. Some random notes for all y'all. This is great news for the state of Iowa. Of course, earlier this year, we talked about the state of Arkansas trying to pass some bullshit laws about regulating racetracks and hours, and essentially it would have killed short track racing or greatly disabled it in the state of Arkansas had it gotten passed. Of course, that didn't even make it to a vote, which is good news. Meanwhile, in Iowa, they have just passed a bill protecting racetracks from NIMBYs. Of course, the not in my backyard dickhead crowd who moves in next to a facility and complains about the noise. That is now illegal to do that in the state of Iowa. So hopefully more states are able to kind of push forward legislation now that we've seen something protecting racetracks from that bullshit. So God bless them. Speaking of owning racetracks, Ryan Blaney has bought into the family business. He's part of the ownership group at Sharon Speedway now, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Ryan Preece is going to be running the Tri-Track show at Thompson next Wednesday. I will be on site for that, to watch that. Tri-Track is the best modified tour going right now, in my opinion. And Ryan going there is definitely a big deal. Thompson has a hard time drawing crowds on Wednesday nights. It's just tough, you know, like it's a tough thing to do to try and get people to come there, especially when you have Stafford and the Speed Bowl and everyone else running on Fridays and Saturday nights. So, but Tri-Track always draws pretty decent car counts, and I think that's going to be a good show. And a shout out to Ryan Preece for coming back home and running a race where he belongs. I'm going to be excited to see that. Also on the modified tour, Ryan Newman announced he's going to be driving the legendary Mystic Missile, of course, the number 4 car at Wilkesboro in that modified race. So that's a big deal. Ryan Newman, no stranger to modifieds. Of course, he runs the Smart Tour full time now, and he's dabbled in the tour pretty much as long as he was in Cup. He always races at New Hampshire, and definitely cool to see him filling in for Tim Connolly in the number 4. The Mystic Missile is an absolute legend, and that car has been out there for fucking way longer than I've been alive. So definitely awesome to see that piece of history out there. And one more piece of short track news, Tony Uri Jr., of course, he left Fury Racing, or Fury Chassis, a few weeks ago, and he's popped back up over at GMS to help run their late model chassis program. So that's a big piece of news right there. So GMS definitely landed a big smart guy in Tony Uri Jr. He's did a lot of great work with Fury, and I'll be curious to see what he does over there and what kind of chassis they produce going out here. We already talked about Flow Racing Night in America being all over the state of Illinois, so make sure you tune into that. That's pretty much every night this week on Flow Racing. Lucas Oil 8 models are at Farmer City and Falls. That's going to be great. High Limit just rained out at 81 as we're recording this, which is a bummer, but they'll be at Lakeside and Tri-City as well. World of Outlaws are at Lincoln as we speak. I think that feature just wrapped up, but I didn't see who won, so we'll talk about it next week. And then the big time Morgan Cup, folks, at the Williams Grove Speedway down in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Of course, the first meeting of the Outlaws and the Pennsylvania Posse happening this weekend. I'm actually going to be there on Saturday. I'm very excited for that. I'm going to be driving down.
I thought you weren't going to go.
To Williams Grove?
Oh, no, you said you couldn't go Friday, right?
Yeah, I can't go Friday. I have a show on Friday night, but I am going to make the haul down there for Saturday. And Friday's weather looks kind of shitty right now anyway. So that might have been a literal wash as is. But yeah, Saturday's looking pretty clear, and I'm going to go watch the best of the best that are on the property. Of course, a lot of guys who you'd like to see there out racing High Limit right now, but still tons of posse drivers. Of course, that's their back porch, and they're all going to be out there taking it to the Outlaws, and it's going to be a great show, and I'm very much looking forward to see that. And friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong, he's kind of rolling out the red carpet for me, and we're going to have a good time down there. Also, on the asphalt side, the Passenack Tour are going to be going to Star Speedway up here in New Hampshire. That's a good show. That'll be on Racing America. And that's it for the short track Septic Tank. And I guess we can go ahead and flush it on down, and then we'll get into the video of the week segment here. And I'll say I enjoyed 2 of them, and not one of them in the slightest. So, whoosh.
Yeah. Well, hey, I picked the videos, and I didn't really love any of them.
Yeah, you came out worse than us.
Yeah. So the first one I picked was this compilation of commercials. It was like one commercial from 2001 to 2018, and I think I was expecting more funny commercials. Because I mean, there's been plenty of them over the years, and especially in the 2000s and stuff. That's when NASCAR was really at its peak, and you really only got a couple of those here.
It starts off funny.
It starts well. It shouldn't say it's no. It starts off fucking somber with the Dale Jr. Budweiser "Missing My Dad" commercial. But again, it was
that's
2001,
true.
so.
But nobody was laughing then.
2002 was Jeff Gordon blowing off people's clothes and blowing off a billboard, like driving his car.
Yeah,
billboard of
funny
himself.
one with
Kurt. Yeah, there was a funny one with Kurt Busch where some guy's watching TV and gets up to get a snack, and he comes back, and Kurt Busch is in his living room chastising him for missing him doing something on the track, which I thought that was good.
Yeah. Oh, you skipped the first commercial, the one where Jeff Gordon's trying to sell that little Tonka car.
Yeah.
And you get to see Jeff Gordon say, "Oh yeah," or something like that, which is
real
fucking awkward.
RC car.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to help me because I can't even look at my fucking notes with my phone right now. I'm having a hell of a night.
Well, Truelove and I, our
personal
favorite one was the Subway commercial with Greg Biffle. I believe that was
it was 2006.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely probably the funniest one, I would say.
I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that commercial and always thought it was funny, but I completely forgot about it existing. So.
Yeah, Greg's sitting there with his crew chief, right?
Yep, Doug Richard.
Yeah, Doug Richard, and he's using his sandwich, his footlong, to describe how he got wrecked, and then he just ends up blowing his sandwich up all over Doug, and it's very funny.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's one that's later on for EA Sports with Tony Stewart, and it's kind of a somber commercial, or not somber, more serious, I would say. But then he talks about he maybe does it for the girls.
Yeah.
Which
the press.
Good old pussy hound Tony Stewart.
There's a Rolling Stone article about that.
I was going to say, does anybody else remember that article? I vividly remember reading that article because that was in my period when I wasn't watching as much NASCAR. But the quote from him was, "The only 3 things I care about are cars, money, and pussy."
Yeah.
Not to get too gross here on the show.
Well,
but,
he said it. So.
He said it.
Tony's getting gross.
Yeah, that article's amazing. I generally hate Rolling Stone magazine, but I really do love that article, and it describes him in that peak era of just him driving around, living off fast food, being a piece of shit, and it is definitely worth a read. You can track it down on the internet. I think it's still up on the Rolling Stone site, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure it's still up there. It's not like it's a cancelable interview.
Yeah, but fuck Rolling Stone for reposting that after the Kevin Ward incident. That's why when I decided I was fucking done with them, they used that as a clickbait kind of thing, and that really pissed me off. So.
Oops.
Yeah, the rest of the commercials are kind of whatever.
Well, there was also one where Jimmy Johnson locks Casey Kane in the porta potty. That's pretty funny.
That's good, yeah.
So that he can go eat a steak sandwich.
Yeah.
It's made no sense.
Like he eats steak sandwiches. Come on.
Yeah.
It's protein. That's a low carb athlete meal, I would say.
That's fair.
But yeah, it was a lot of just boring, somber commercials, and I just thought there were better ones they could have picked, but.
Well, I kind of viewed it as more of a historical piece, like that was kind of the mood of NASCAR, and from their marketing department, that was the actual shift that happened. You didn't get a whole lot of comedy out of these guys or anything that resembled humanity.
Well, I at least figured the Clint Boyer one where he is dancing on the shelf would have been in there.
Oh,
Maybe that was a little bit later than
that was
Septic
one of the
Tank.
only ones of the era. Yeah, and then there was the soda cookies commercial, which was fucking annoying, but that wasn't in this video. But yeah,
Yeah.
There was one with Jason Leffler and Carl Edwards in like a Busch Series driver's ed
oh yeah, that was good.
class or something.
Yeah, that was a good
I
one.
don't remember Carl having long hair ever, but
No, he had Brad Keselowski's hair from that Fox cartoon. Maybe that's where they got it from.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about these commercials. I was let down. I thought that was going to be better than it was. Whatever. The next up was the 81 Speedway video, and I forget the exact title of this, but I think there was some sort of like dirt track magazine or something that goes to tracks and documents them. And
Yeah, it was posted by
started off with-
Casey's Cheese Video, and it's called it's 81 Speedway Sights and Sounds video from September 26th some year.
yeah,
Which is funny because there were sights, but there was only one sound throughout this video.
That's right.
this video started off kind of funny with all these different like groups of people and families and stuff kind of announcing which drivers they were going to cheer for, and none of the names I recognized, and then just screaming. But the best one was there was one family where they totally fucked it up and just like talked all over each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the one that we post on the Instagram post, because that was the funniest one. And then from there it was kind of just literally just somebody walking around the pits and like coming up to people and filming them without asking them, and then looking awkward. Like definitely more than one shot of a woman looking at their cell phone sitting next to a race car and then kind of awkwardly smiling at the camera.
Yeah.
Which that's always good.
Yeah, as Truelove said, a whole lot of sights, not a lot of sound aside from the dulcet tones of the Backstretch Boys.
Yeah, I was gonna say
several
like,
of their songs were featured. Every song in this was from that band and from that record. Rookie Season is what it was called. You can actually go catch the Backstretch Boys live to this day.
Oh, to this day.
Yeah, they're still out there playing. So.
What?
But I think I'm gonna get the boys to learn "We Dig Dirt" next time
that was the banger of all the ones they played on here.
Yeah. Also featured was "Fields of Thunder," not as good. "Lady in Black," "Bad Attitude," not as good. And then "Rockin' the Rock." A lot of songs about Rockingham and Darlington, which 81 Speedway is not. So
It's not at all.
not even close.
But I petition we get them to play instead of Tim Duggar.
Yeah, I would much rather see the Backstretch Boys. Absolutely.
There were it was just like, I'm trying to think of the cars. There were some sprint cars. They definitely weren't 410s. Some IMCA modifieds and some street stock. There was definitely a Scott Bloomquist painted up street stock, which I thought was very funny. But yeah, just kind of a lot of awkward shots of people in the pits and being filmed without their knowledge. So not the best fan cam, but also interesting.
My favorite shot in there is one. It was a little boy. He was sitting in his mom's lap, and he's wearing a bandana, but you can't see her behind him. You can just see like the outline of her hair. So it looked like this little baby child had on like a bandana with like giant 80s hair behind him, but it was just his mom behind him. So that was the best shot.
Yeah, this was good. Definitely from the era before video content was what it is now.
Yeah.
Though I do kind of want to start making videos like this, where it's just me making shitty videos. See how far it goes.
It's definitely a lot easier to do now than it was then, so I'm sure you can pull it off.
I really want to know the story behind this guy's company name. Like at the end, it's a Cheese Works video. Like, what's this guy's obsession with cheese?
I got it pulled up here. Let's see here. I'm scrolling through. I just got to the "That's All, Folks." A Cheese Works video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you end up with a name like that, but
big cheese guy.
Big time cheese guy. Yeah, as they're rolling the fucking Bang Banger division out there to drop oil everywhere.
Yeah, no cars on track till the very end when the 80 different bang
Right when it
bangers are
starts
up
to get good, it
Slow
shuts
down.
off.
They just put cheese works over top of it.
But yeah, the one positive thing I'll say about it, other than the Backstretch Boys, is you can feel this video as you watch it. You know how hot it is. You know how humid it is. You know what that sun feels like. You know what it smells like out there. It's just it made me feel like I needed to get to the racetrack watching that. That was about it, though.
Well, drinking a cold beer and listening to We Dig Dirt.
Exactly.
And then finally, the worst video of the night. I picked a because we were in Kansas this coming weekend. I picked I just looked up Wizard of Oz NASCAR to see what I could find, and apparently in the 2004 Kansas race, there were like 5 different cars that ran Wizard of Oz paint schemes, which I wasn't really paying as close attention, so I don't remember this at all. But of course, they made diecast of all of them, and I found some random YouTuber that was reviewing one of these diecasts, and this video had like 2,900 views, which is about 2,850 views more than it should have, because like this was just it doesn't even qualify as a review to me, because all this is this kid.
It's an unboxing video.
Yeah, it's unboxing and then just talking about everything he sees. There's no actual analysis of the car. He's not like talking about the quality of the diecast itself or anything like that, other than like briefly mentioning some metallic paint and like one slightly smudged decal.
Yeah.
But this kid just basically just unboxes the car and points out every sticker on it and every sponsor. And
I was watching it and I was like, surely he's not going to read all the contingency sponsors. And sure enough.
Same.
Yep.
I had that exact same thought.
And boy, he reads them out to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just sat there and listened to every single one of them.
Despite the fact they're the same on both sides of the car, we still get to see what's on the A post.
Well, no, I will give him credit. The B posts were different. They had different candy sponsors.
Oh, okay.
I did notice. But he was mystified as to why they decided to go with Toto on this car, but it's like it's Pedigree sponsored the car. Of course they're gonna fucking pick the dog in the movie.
The animal in the movie.
Yeah. Like what the fuck?
All I'll
and I
say
think
is if you're... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he also kind of fucked up. He mentioned like Pedigree has been around in the sport since like the 90s, but I think the way he insinuated it was that like it was with Yates since the 90s, which it wasn't. Like it originally was with the MB2 team, and then went to Yates, and then went to Kyle Busch when he got the M&MR sponsorship. But yeah, anyways, that's just.
For me, it was hard to focus on anything he was saying because I was so distracted by how disgusting one of his cuticles was. It was right in front of the camera the whole time.
I am very picky about my fingernails, and I clip them fairly often, and this inspired me to clip my nails as soon as I watched it. So.
Well, at least some good came out of it. Yeah.
He also has this like white box backdrop that he uses to show off the diecast, and it was so just filthy. There were so many black marks and like dirt all over it. I was like, what the fuck?
He's just filming it out there in the pits at 81 Speedway as the cheese guy walks by. Yeah, it makes you wonder what the rest of the room looks like.
Yes. He also had this kind of like interesting laugh, and he laughed at himself a lot. Like, I don't know. There was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And nothing at all.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing, really. Yeah, not a good video there.
No. Can't say I'm sorry, because I like punishing you guys and punishing myself apparently once in a while.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
If I
but
didn't punish
next
myself enough already this week,
Yeah,
you
it's
had to
true.
throw that in there.
Well, next week we'll have a good, hopefully good video to talk about because the NASCAR Netflix series just dropped.
It did. Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about that. I don't know if we'll talk about the first episode or I don't know. I guess it depends on how much we all watch, but I have a feeling I'll probably get through all of them because I think it's only 5 episodes, so I'm sure I'll probably
short
get
series,
through.
But let's just stick with the first one because I don't know how far I'm going to make it into.
I'm just going to watch the first one.
Okay, well, we'll do that. There was I didn't even really look at it. I just kind of glanced at it, but Jeff Gluck said it hit a lot of the same beats as last year, but there was more Christopher Bell in this one, so that's good.
Yeah, ironing his Hagars.
The only clip I saw of Christopher Bell on the internet so far is him riding like a weird wakeboard looking deal with like a propeller on it, like a true psychopath. So
Not good.
Yeah, that's okay, but sprint car racing on Saturdays isn't. I got you. Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to that. The first season again. I thought it was all right. It was definitely well done, and I'm curious to see what they decided to focus on. And we're all pretty tuned in, so my Drive to Survive radar is definitely going to be turned on to see if I can sniff out any bullshit. But I mean, the NASCAR series was better than Drive to Survive because it just didn't wholesale make shit up like they do in the F1 one. But yeah, very, very excited to see this.
Yep, and I am very excited for Kansas this weekend because Kansas puts on probably one of the best races of the entire Cup season, and it wouldn't honestly shock me to see them get the series finale at some point. So very excited. It's just Xfinity and no, it's Trucks this weekend.
Trucks and Cup. Yeah, Xfinity's on a 2-week break.
Yep. So that'll be great. And trying to think, I'm not. Yeah, Rob's already doing racing stuff. Ashley, you doing any racing stuff? Or you still
I need to rest my body.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stay off the hot dogs and the Bloody Marys. Yeah.
Yep. Cool, so that's the show. As always, you can follow us on Meet Me at Applebees on Instagram, Meet Me at the Bees on Twitter. Speedway Screens and all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop, and MMA Applebees for 15% off at checkout.
Still Snake Mountain Truelove. There's nothing going on over there.
Cool.
Rob?
Thank you. Rob Moats _ unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains, and we actually have a show this Friday for all the Massachusetts and New England folks. We're backing up Charlie Marie at Faces Brewing Company on Friday nights. That's the 9th. Played a show with a guy named Mike Frazier. He's pretty good. Looking forward to seeing that. I think the show kicks off at 8, and we play around 9:45. And then once that's done, I pack my little drums up, go throw them in the garage, and pretty much head straight down to Pennsylvania for a full jam-packed day of sprint cars and having a good time. So if anybody listening is going to be at Williams Grove, like I said, I'll be there all day Saturday, so come say what's up.
How far is Williams Grove for you?
About 6 hours.
Oh, yeah, Jesus. I looked up, and it was like 5 for me. I was like, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, not too bad. It sucks because I've never... Pennsylvania is sprint car country. There are amazing racetracks all over that state, but I've never really had... I don't really have any friends in Pennsylvania, so having Kyle and I think Josh Davis, friend of the program, is going to be down there too, and a few other folks. So I'll have some folks to hang out with when I'm there. And driving 6 hours to sit in a grandstand by myself and then drive back never sounds like a great time. That's why I've never been to Pocono either. But now that I got some skin in the game here, I'm very excited to see this because Williams Grove has been on my bucket list. So, like I said, if you're down there, come find me. I'll be hanging out around the Simpson trailer and in the pits and over on Beer Hill and all that shit. And maybe I'll sneak up on the bridge if I can.
With your 30 Wreck-A-Bush.
Yes.
Your Crocs and socks.
Yeah. No, I'll be wearing shoes at this one, but it's supposed to be in the 50s, I think. So.
Oh, damn.
I will not be wearing my cowboy boots, though. That's for sure.
Very excited to hear about your experience there.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's gonna be cool. That's an amazing racetrack for sure.
Cool. Well, with that, looks like the check is here. So thanks for joining us yet again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to y'all next week.